Dave here with Limitless Brave. For the past 16 years, I've been mentoring men to shift their mindsets so they can shift their world. I've been helping men with their dating lives, their marriages, their divorces, climbing that corporate ladder, their business mindset, living an awesome lifestyle, and of course, everybody's favorite, making more money. Today, we're going to be talking about how anxiety is a disorder of uncertainty, meaning the more uncertainty you have in your life, the more your anxiety increases. See, when we feel uncertain, our anxiety goes through the roof because we start worrying, we start getting nervous about the future, about the unknown, and our brain sees that as a threat. So what we want to do is try to grab for control the situation, control the outcome, which we really can't do because what we're actually anxious about is so far in the future, we have no control over it. And when that anxiety kicks in, we start overdoing, over-planning, overthinking about things that most likely are never going to happen. Or if they are going to happen, we still can't control them. See, our crazy brain thinks that if we think more, do more, plan more, that we can create certainty, control an outcome. And so it feels like it's handling that potential threat response that it's actually creating. And even though we do all of this stuff, our brain still signals danger, danger, stay alert, there's a threat. And by doing all this, we further cement the bias that uncertainty and that the unknown truly means danger. Here are some common things that we do to try to control the uncertainty, the unknown of the future. We love to plan, overplan, check, recheck, triple check, whatever plans that we may have made. We become ultimately very obsessive about those plans and the outcomes of those plans because, again, the brain is registering this is a threat because we don't know what's going to happen, even though we've planned everything to the most minute detail. And as we look into the future, we catastrophize every possible solution, every possible outcome, creating even more uncertainty in our own mind because it becomes this chaotic insanity inside of our own brains that we keep in this perpetual loop of fear, threat, unsafe, unknown, uncertain equals anxiety. And that loop runs again and again and again and again. We overwork and we overtrain ourselves to be prepared. We constantly are looking for safety, reassurance, confidence in others because we ourselves don't feel safe, confident, or in control. And when we feel this way, we tend to make backup plan after backup plan after backup plan, which ultimately they never get used. We don't even ever get close to that catastrophic perceived outcome that we're thinking about. Now, good planning and good preparation is always important. Remember, if you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. So what we need to do is reframe anxiety to our nervous system. We need to reframe it in our brain from being this unsafe, uncontrollable, catastrophic event to something that's pretty safe, quite honestly. And most of the time, the things that we worry about and that we're anxious about never even happen. So the next time, to help reframe this concept, you start feeling anxious and nervous, take a second, ground yourself, calm down, think about what is the worst possible outcome. Can I deal with that? Absolutely. There's usually no outcomes that we can't deal with. So reframe it as, yeah, I can deal with that. Okay, the unknown is not something that I can control. So, okay, let the minutes come as they may. I'll handle whatever comes my way. So the next time you're feeling this way, take a second, ground yourself, relax, take some deep breaths. Look at the situation from a 30,000 foot view, not focused on the microscopic, catastrophic detail that you're thinking of. Look at the big picture. How bad could this really go? What are the odds? And most of the time you'll quickly see that, hey, this isn't as bad as I possibly am thinking it could be. So let's just take a beat, let's relax, let's ground ourselves, let's take a breath and go on about our day without getting so worked up about a pinpoint moment that's probably never going to happen. One of the things that you can work on is understanding that it is impossible to predict the future, uncertainty, things that you worry about, their outcomes, because as much as we plan, things can go very, very wrong, but also things can go very, very right. So to try to plan the future is almost an impossibility. One of the best tools to control your anxiety, to control uncertainty, to get rid of the fear of the unknown is to actually allow yourself to be afraid, to go through experiences being afraid, to face the fears that you're worried about dealing with, so that as you go through them, you start really building real experience that can actually help you on down the road be less anxious. And if you face that fear and things still don't go right, still know that even though this may have turned into a shit show, you still have the capacity to handle what it is that you need to handle and get through this moment. So why does facing your fears work? Well, it works because you now have control over that fear. You know that fear intimately because you walked through it. You know what's a real threat and what's really not a threat. And so that decreases that anxiety, that nervousness, and gives you empowerment, gives you power, gives you control over the uncertainty of fear, the uncertainty of the unknown, the uncertainty of the future. Because when you continually process fear and work with it and go through it and get comfortable in the unknown and the uncertain, well, you start rising through the ranks really quickly. Let's take skydiving, for example. That's facing one of the biggest primal fears we're born with, the fear of falling. See, the skydiver may not necessarily trust the plane he's flying in to jump out of, nor may he even trust the parachute or the equipment that he's using. But what he does trust is his ability to use the equipment effectively, to rely on all of his training, to execute emergency procedures when there is an emergency, so that he can safely make a skydive and land and repeat that process over and over and over again. When you jump out of a plane, the very first time, it's a very nerve-wracking experience. Hundreds and thousands of jumps after that, it becomes normal. You start to trust the procedures, the processes, all the safety stuff that's built into making a skydive. So you face the fear of the unknown, the fear of the danger, the fear of falling, etc. And then ultimately own all of that and become very, very curious about the whole process of aviation, skydiving, all the safety, all the technology. And so you now have a tremendous amount of confidence and very little fear when it comes to participating in a sport like that. Some people may not even know where their anxiety and nervousness comes from. A lot of the times we learn these programs in childhood. Mother was emotionally erratic. Dad was emotionally and physically erratic. Mom was frantic and nervous and full of anxiety, freaking out about every little thing. And Dad, he may have done the same thing. Or Dad could have just been emotionally void, not really there, causing you to wonder what's going on, creating the unknown emotional experience that a lot of guys go through when it comes to their dad not being present for them and growing up with an emotionally erratic mother, emotionally erratic sisters, aunts, grandmothers. A lot of the problems that we have as adults started in childhood, and we drug them into our teenage years with all the hormones and craziness going on without really working on what happened in childhood, mixing that with wild hormonal teenage years and then dragging all that garbage into our adult life. And we wonder why our adult life is such a mess sometimes. It's because we've never really handled the things from the past that we should have. And a lot of the times we don't even know that those things from the past are what's causing the anxiety, the nervousness, the chaos in our lives. Until you come and work with somebody and they point that out, like, hey, that's the thing that's causing all of these problems in your life. So if you're looking to get some help with your anxiety, your nervousness, your worry about the future and uncertain events, come and check out some of my workshops. I have a shadow workshop, I have an embodiment and grounding workshop, where we dig deep into the subconscious mind, all of that childhood and teenage year programming that you're not aware of that's affecting your adult life, as well as understanding how the body is emoting, feeling, and sharing information with you that you're not even aware of that's causing this nervousness and this anxiety. So if that sounds interesting to you, check out the description below. It has all my upcoming workshops. I also have the Limitless Brave private reserve community. It's a free community to hop into. Awesome guys in there. I've got 90 some client testimonials in there. And of course, there's always the masculine assessment. It's a free tool that I created. It takes you through about 7 different pillars of masculinity and gives you a score, lets you know how you stack up. So if you got any other questions about this topic or these workshops, put them in the comments below, and I'll be sure to try to make a video for you if I can, and answer any questions you might have. All right, see you in the next video.